Concord going to wrap up the season at home against the Davis and Elkins Senators and the West Virginia Wesleyan Bobcats. Concord red hot right now. They've won 6 straight. Alyssa Morris, your team has hit the ball. You guys have pitched it pretty well here as of late as well. But what has been the main factor in this 6-game win streak?
Just capitalizing when it's needed. And so, when we have base runners on, situational hitting and defensive plays coming up clean and just, playing simple softball.
Yeah, let's start with the pitching because you guys had a program first. Mahaley Nicholson against Salem on Saturday afternoon. The program's first no-hitter, tied her career high with 8 strikeouts. What was working for Nicholson in the circle that led to the no-hitter?
She stayed calm, and, she had pretty good control of her pitches. We were able to keep the batters off balance for the most part and attack their weaknesses, and honestly, we fed her some Sour Patch Kids. It's word on the street is it's supposed to calm you down, and does she believe it? I don't know, but I think it worked. But really, she was hitting her spots phenomenally that day, and just keeping the batters guessing, which is a huge.
Candy is never a bad thing, never a bad idea, regardless of sport or competition. Let's focus on your offense, though. Contributions really up and down the lineup over these last 6 games. Lacey Lewis has continued to be one of the best hitters in the conference. But 2 players have really stood out during this win streak as Madison Hollis is not only hitting the ball, she's hitting it into the gaps. And then Alina Giles is 7 for her last 8. How about those 2 specifically? What has changed? Because they went through a little bit of a cold spell there about a month ago. What has changed in their approach and their swings?
They've calmed down. You know how it is when you're going through a tough time. We don't say the other word. And they just worked through it, and they continued to work on what they needed to work on, and they finally calmed down and just let the game come to them. And I think that's huge because you can't force a hit. You can't force anything. You got to let the game come to you. And they just have a really good approach at the plate. They know what pitches they're looking for, and they're doing a really good job at it right now.
It'll be senior weekend for you, and we would be remiss if we didn't talk about your 2 seniors, Courtney Raines, an all-conference player from last year, all-region player, matter of fact, and then Cassidy Garvey. There's been highs in her career, and there's been some low valleys as well. But how have those 2 just stayed consistent to this program and helped you guys win games?
It's been huge. They are both big impact players, and they work hard day in and day out, and they're a great example for the rest of the team. Cassidy has done a phenomenal job. She's one of the hardest workers on that team, and she's never given up, and her hard work is paying off, and she's just keeping a great approach at the plate. And same thing with Courtney. Courtney is also one of the hardest workers. I think my 2 seniors do a great job on that. She is solid on defense and offense, and she's just comes up big when you need her. And that's both of them, honestly. They've just done a great job overall helping shape this program. They've been with me all 4 years since I've been here. And, they're 2 players that I'm happy to have led this team this season. All
right, 2 totally different styles as the opponents this week. Let's first start with Davis and Elkins, 2 big hitters in the lineup, Ashlyn Zapak and Lindsay Allard. They're just going to simply try to outscore you, whether that takes 8 runs, 10 runs, 12 runs, whatever that takes. How do you guys keep this potent D&E offense under control?
You gotta figure out how to keep their hitters off balance and keep them guessing. I think that's the hardest thing against D&E. Is they have a solid team, but they have phenomenal hitters. And the last time we played them, they hit the ball really well, and they always do. And so I think that's the biggest thing for us is limiting the runs and figuring out how to attack their weaknesses as best as we can.
All right, Wesleyan, opposite. They're going to use their pitching they always have under head coach Steve Warner for the most part, and they've got one of the best pitchers in the league for a while now in Kendall Stoffel. She pitched 3 times last weekend. She went 3-0. I assume that as Wesleyan tries to make a postseason push here, Coach Warner's going to ride Stoffel. You guys did a good job of touching her up earlier in the year. Her defense was not the best, but you guys still put the ball in play against her. What's your approach against her?
Well, she's a phenomenal pitcher, and, just making sure that we're attacking pitches that we can drive. She has great pitch control, and, she can really make some hitters look silly. And as long as we're not chasing her junk and making ourselves look silly, which we've done a great job of so far, attacking pitches we can drive and continuing with that approach, I think we're going to do a great job. She predominantly pitches a lot of outside pitches, and we've been working on that. So I think if we stay with the scouting report and with our strengths as hitters, I guess is the best way to put it, we're going to do fine. We just got to make sure that we're disciplined at the plate.
Concord, a lot to play for. Obviously, MEC postseason implications. Mountain Lions could still get as high as second in the conference. And of course, it's senior weekend, so I hope you'll come out and join us. It's West Virginia Wesleyan, 1 p.m. on Friday, and then Davis and Elkins, high noon on Saturday. We'll see you at the field.